All right, guys, welcome back to the next episode of the Grand Prairie PD podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Whitney.
Hello.
Again, because Katie is off doing
Yeah, we're just making this a
Katie
regular.
thinks, I think we should remove him from the title.
Oh, thank you. Upgrade. Thank you for the upgrade.
We are here with Oster Cord, which is short for Cordero, which I was confused at first about the name.
Yep.
So we don't really know each other real well. We kind of interact a little bit in passing. So I'm excited about this one.
Yeah.
Carlos, do we have any recruiting things we need to talk about?
March 1st test.
We have a test on March 1st. Cool. We have a test on March 1st. So get online, gptx.org. There we go.
GrandPrairiePolice.org, all spelled out.
Okay, or that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got it on both of them, so you can take a look at the requirements, your personal history statement, get that printed out, and March 1st.
How long is the personal history statement now? Is it?
I don't know. Katie said it's like 111 pages.
Man, get started now.
But, yeah. It is long, and you feel, and the way everything's worded, you feel like if I can't find my neighbor from 3 years ago to say something good about me, then I'm not going to get hired. Which it might be true, actually.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, Cord.
All right.
A little bit about yourself. How did you get started?
So I grew up in Fort Worth. Went to high school there, then went to college at
I brought you a water bottle if you want.
Oh, I got this. I just didn't think about it.
As soon as you start, especially.
Yeah, as soon as I start, it's like, ugh. So went to college in Bryan, College Station area.
Okay.
Was going to go to A&M. Got a degree in criminal justice because that's what you do.
That's what you do.
After I came back and went to UTA, finished there. Once I did that, decided, being a cop's what I want to do.
So you went through the whole college process doing criminal justice, and you still weren't 100%?
No, by the time I fully committed to criminal justice, I was like, this is probably what I want to do. But let's it's probably what I'm going to do. But keep your eyes open, kind of thing. Then once I got done with that, it's like, it's time to grow up and get a real job.
Right.
Just, applied a couple places, got hired in the mid cities in 2011.
What's mid-cities?
Bedford.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So got hired there, worked there for 9 years. Yep. Yeah. Worked there for 9 years, then came over here in 2020. So here I am.
You got a couple years under your belt then.
Yeah. 6 more to 20.
Yeah. How being local, what made you settle on the departments that you settled on?
Yeah.
So when I first started, that was back when it was hard to get a job being a cop.
Right.
And so it's just throw applications places and then you get the personal history and you're like, oh, this is a lot.
Yeah.
And then you start working through that. And by the time I got to where, okay, I know the answers to these, then Bedford was the first place that I actually completed the whole process and they hired me.
Very cool.
Yep.
How big of a department is that?
They were 80-ish sworn.
Oh, wow.
When I left, yeah. So
That's bigger than I would have thought.
yeah, it's all kind of in the mid cities. It's
Yeah.
a lot of medium sized. That's a big area, but we all kind of encompass each other. It's all the same people, same clientele.
Yeah.
Comes and goes.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Oh yeah.
I like that. Same clientele.
Yeah.
That sounds so nice.
There's a one particular city that's known as to the southeast of here, known for being super humid, and they like to point guns at people and take stuff. And every time you see a car up here from that particular city, you're like, God dang it, go home.
Now.
Yep.
Which they're talking about building a train now from here to there. Which,
Perfect.
Yes.
God, will be just terrible.
No, I love that idea.
It's because you're not a detective.
That's true.
Your caseload would not explode.
That's true.
Actually,
That's true.
it might.
It could,
Caseload
though.
might explode.
It could.
Because they also
Hop up
like
here,
to hit.
party,
Yeah.
come, hang out. Something happens, then you need me.
That's true.
See? You're going to need
Yeah,
some
you don't
services.
want. You think you want that? You don't want that.
That's
That's
too much
true.
job security.
See, I was thinking of a personal note, so I can travel, see my in-laws quicker. They can come up here quick, go back,
I mean, I'm happy for you that you have that relationship with your in-laws, but what will actually happen is all the offenses will say, oh, instead of having to get our girlfriends to rent cars for us that we can drive up here to commit violent offenses,
That's true.
we'll just take the train.
That's true.
It's
That's a good
economical,
point. Yeah.
Do what?
Save a little bit of money. It's economical.
Save a little bit. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, I'm not that. So going from, well, actually, I don't even want to go into all that yet, but did you always know you were going to be a cop?
Not really.
Well, I guess not, because you already said you
Yeah,
weren't
so
100%
not
sold.
really. I always had that like really strong sense of right and wrong and kind of thing, and so it naturally kind of once I took like a criminal justice class just kind of as an elective, and was like, oh, this is really cool. I really enjoy it, and so I was like, yeah, that's something I can do and it makes sense. And the whole like I said, right is right, wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just kind of was a natural fit once I thought about it and was like, oh yeah, this is good.
Yeah. Do you have any family or anything that was military law enforcement? No, just
Nope.
just 100%.
I am it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Wow.
Yep.
Are you bombarded with all the different questions? Like, what about this? What do you think about this? Hey, I just got pulled over. What?
It's like when I started, it was like that, and because it's a natural curiosity.
Yeah.
But I kind of give a little bit here, a little bit there, and then you kind of tell some stories that are like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have told that one.
Yeah.
And then you get less questions about
Yeah.
how work was, and so
Yeah.
and like I've been kind of doing it so long, it's it's you go to work, dad goes to work, he comes home, whatever, kind of a thing. So
Yeah, that's one thing we talked about a couple times on here is that you kind of have that. You have those stories. Like I have this story for this category. I have this story for these people. I have this story for those people.
absolutely,
Then you have this. Sometimes you do have that. I don't know about you, but I have a couple stories that like when people are being a little bit obnoxious. They're like, oh, what's the gnarliest, nastiest thing you've ever seen in police work? It's like, oh, okay. I'm gonna tell you this one.
yeah,
Man.
oh, absolutely.
And you'll
Yeah, give me the
never ask that
full-
question again.
Never
Yep.
they. Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. So it's kind of progressed to where everyone's like, he goes to work and he does his thing, and they kind of leave me alone on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You come home and say long day. Like, okay,
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So.
it's awesome. You have kiddos?
Yep. I got two boys, 11 and one's about to be 10.
Oh, very cool. Very nice. I got an 11-year-old too.
Oh yeah.
Kind of dealing with in fact, this morning, dealing with the beginning stages of the attitude, I guess. Yeah. I heard mom said something to him, and then I heard what I thought was a little twang of a tone in his response, and I was like, I'll wait a second. And then he snapped at his brother too, and I was like, nah.
I got to go check that.
Yep.
Yep. Oh yeah. It's fun every day. It's
Dude, I hate it, man. Like not like having kids, but like it's like it's my buddy. Like really, like we're being
Yeah.
like
I had you to be a friend.
right.
yeah. Like we're supposed to fish together, watch sports together. Like maybe sit down and enjoy a beer together one day. It's like just being a little.
Yeah. No, and then it's like with him and his little brother, it's like because they can't be further than 3 feet apart.
Right.
But with they're always fighting.
Yes.
And it's like, well, go to your rooms and just ignore each other. Well, and then you see one just kind of
Yeah.
run across the hallway into the other one's room, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, let's restart the process.
Yep. We when I was growing up, we shared rooms. We'd have a real big house, and which I always thought it was a really good way to do it because I felt like it created kind of, I guess, a sense of community where it's like you don't feel like, hey, this is mine, and
Yeah.
because like I'm a firm believer that like you don't have.
Right.
I purchase these things and let you use them for a
Right.
while. So I did that with them for a little while, but I gave up. It's kind of like where I always used to see people, and I held out for a long time. But I always used to see people with like small kids that let them watch the cell phone at dinner. I'm like, no, never, ever for any reason whatsoever. And I was good for the first 3 kids, but I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or
Yeah,
what. But I just got to a point. I'm like, you know what?
Quiet's nice.
Yeah, I need to like just interact with an adult for a minute. So
It's nice to be able to hear yourself think.
yeah, enjoy Blue.
Every now and again.
Yeah.
Nice
So,
to hear yourself
yeah.
think. Yeah. I got 3 boys, 1 girl, and I just need my time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the bathroom, the closet. It's funny. One time I heard my husband coming in, and my oldest, he's 8. He was like, "Where's mommy?" He was like, "Get out of here. She's having her closet time." I thought it was funny. Like, yeah, thank you, husband. Give mommy some time, please.
Closet time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go. It's in the
different.
bathroom, so I have to go through the bathroom to get to the closet. So
Oh yeah.
that's my space.
Multiple doors to lock.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, we are like walk in the door and it's like, Dad, what are we doing? I don't know yet.
Yeah,
just let me
See,
let
mom
me
always
breathe.
asks me what because my wife likes to defer questions and issues, so she'll get how because she's a teacher and one of my 11-year-old goes to the same school as she does, and so like he's asking her from like 4 p.m. on all these different things. So can I do this? Can I do that? Can I eat this? Can I drink this? And instead of answering any of them, she's just like, just wait, ask your dad when he gets off.
Yeah.
So I walk in the door and she's like, Dad, can I have this list of
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a whole list.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it when your dad gets home. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks.
And then I'll walk in. Although, I was thinking about it, that approach isn't bad, but we should change it to where we can put the kids in the closet, and then we have the rest of the day.
Oh,
So we have like
you have the entire home.
I
That's
probably
true.
should
You got the
say
whole
this in
house.
recording, but having like a special kids closet.
Yeah, the idea that you have this nice big house and you get to enjoy a closet.
A closet.
Right,
That's
yeah.
true.
That's my
a
space,
good point.
yeah.
I just put a little thing, maybe for some snacks. I don't know. You know?
Yeah, I was trying to watch the ridiculous Cowboys game last night. I don't think I heard a single statement from the commentators until after halftime. I was
Yeah.
like, halftime, bedtime. See y'all.
Yep.
Seriously, how did you handle that as far as when you get home and
It's like a lot of times it'll come in, take a shower, just kind of take a minute, and then it's, full.
Just game on.
Yeah, I mean, because they don't. It's the dad, can I, and
Yeah.
like they're excited and like they want to play and
yeah.
I have two very blessed with great kids and
Yeah.
they just want to interact and do the things
Yeah.
and like it's a small window. At some point they're gonna be teenagers and they're gonna want nothing to do with me. So like really enjoy, the time that I have with them and
Right.
a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
They are a lot.
Yeah, I think that's part of being a dad too. It's just knowing when, hey, I might be tired, but tough.
Oh yeah, that's the dad's job. Yeah. So it is what it is.
Man.
All
I'm
evening.
trying to convince them to let us work from home sometimes.
Why not?
Yeah, we need
not being
telework. Like the federal workers get some telework days in. I don't know.
I think I'd actually be better than up here with my friends, because like some of our people that we work with are not like the most mature people in the world.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, and we're not always great at staying on task.
Oh yeah,
See?
no, it's remarkably difficult.
Yeah. So whenever you were in, you said Bedford,
Yep.
what did you do for them?
So obviously started in patrol, did some drone, did some FTO, did a bunch of different stuff. Did my last 2 years I was a motor there. So then came over here and was like, yeah, this is probably what I want to do, but a lot more options, big city.
Yeah.
So you kind of look around and see, okay, all the different things. And at the end of the day, it was now, and then you go back to motors.
Yeah.
Like that's my happy place. So
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What do you like about it? Because I always seen that and thought it would be. Like, I'm interested in it. I've always been interested in it, like on a peripheral. But like, there's so many aspects to that job that would seem difficult. Like the accident investigation, some of that goes into it. Always interacting with people on that ticket giving traffic stop.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
How do you navigate that?
Just it's part of the business.
Yeah.
So like, and like what's nothing better than getting paid to ride a motorcycle, right? So like that's awesome in itself. But like I get less, I guess, pushback or complaints or whatever on the motorcycle than I do in patrol writing tickets.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
because
Yeah,
it's
I would
like
think it'll be opposite.
well, it's like when the motor cop stops you, you're like. I know you're getting a ticket. You know you're getting a ticket,
Yeah.
and we just
Okay.
we get through it in 3
see.
minutes, and then we move on.
Right.
And so it's just wash, rinse, repeat. So
How often do you have people just completely lose their minds?
I mean, once every couple days probably. But
Really?
it's like
course, you have so
it's
many.
cutting it short. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because like I said, my stop is 3 minutes. It's the exact same thing every time. It's,
Really?
Yeah, I don't leave a lot of room
3
for.
minutes.
Yeah, we get to 5. Things have gone terribly wrong.
You're a good point.
yeah. Like
Look.
I'm detained at that point. Like things have gone wrong.
Oh, that's funny.
But it's just trial and error. Okay,
Yeah.
I know what I can. What's the most effective way for me to get through this without them, wanting to see the laser and wanting to do all the different things and saying it wasn't me, because it's never their fault.
Right.
So. Yeah.
Do you ever done that where you're dealing with people and you're like, yeah, you can see it or whatever?
It depends. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. One time, because every single time you do it, you go, okay, I'll show you the laser, and you walk up and you show it to them. Well, that wasn't me. And so so it's like one time I stopped a car and she wanted to see it. I was like, oh yeah, sure, but you can't say it was you. She's like, what? And I was like, I'm going to show it to you, and you cannot tell me that it wasn't you.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I walk up, and she's like, well, okay, so you're telling me it wasn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're done. And you just walk away. So
Yeah.
a lot of it's just on my end, knowing when to just walk away
Yeah.
and not get into that,
Yeah.
give and take with people, and then because that into
Yeah. Well, because we know that we've had the conversations 100 times, and you way more than 100. And so, like, you will be interacting with people a lot of times, and it's like, I already know what you're going to say.
Right.
Like, I already know where this conversation is going to go. So, like, you hear some of these, like, a statement or a question already, and it's like, I know what my next 5 minutes is about to look like. And so I'm sure it's even more so with y'all's role.
Yeah, and so it just doesn't, like, letting them get all worked up over, and it's going to be the same result.
Right.
So, and at the end of the day, if you disagree, you're more than welcome to take it to court.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to hold, we're not going to hold trial in the middle of the street.
Right.
So
For sure.
Oh,
let's-
no.
Especially with just nothing both sides, a motorcycle behind.
Right, and so a lot of times that's, kind of cuts it, and
Right.
we go off and do our thing. Because, it's typically when you cut the ticket, they say something as you're walking back to the car, and you stop, and you're like, let me turn back and say something.
Oh, yeah.
Never ends well.
Yeah.
So it's just keep walking, right off, and get the next
Yeah,
one.
I don't know when it was, but somewhere, I guess probably around the time I got here, but I just stopped taking anything personally. Like, you can say the wildest stuff to
Yeah.
me, and, like, I just don't even, I don't know, it just doesn't register. Like, in the same way that, like, you could say a quarter of that to me off duty,
Yeah.
and I'm, like, going to have a completely different reaction to
Right.
it. But yeah, there's, like, I can think of one time that someone's ever successfully pissed me off
Right.
in the past probably 10 years.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and it's business. That's
Yeah.
the way I look at it.
Yeah.
This is just a transaction. We're moving on.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best ones, I guess, that I got was make a stop in a parking lot, do my thing, walking back, and as I'm walking back, she like leans out the car with her kid in the car. And she's like, I hope your kids get cancer. It's the weirdest thing. Weird, like so specific.
Wait, here or Bedford? I'm just
It was
curious.
Bedford. Yeah, it was the weirdest thing. I was like,
That's a good question.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Holy crap.
Man, and you did not take that personal.
No, and it's like you take that, you stop for a second, and then you like, nope, not worth it. And just get back on and go do your thing.
Yeah.
Well, because like you hear stuff like that, and it's like, whatever your situation in life is, like as a person, and like for the people who have to live with you, like you and everyone around you are so much worse off.
Oh yeah.
Than you could ever make me.
And it was
Yeah.
like, and it was just plain Jane, normal person. Wasn't anything
Yeah.
that you're like, this person's probably gonna twist off. And
Right.
It's like just
Yeah.
the most normal, regular traffic stop.
Yeah.
Until she threw that out, and I was like, oh, okay, well,
Wow.
that is new.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, I didn't take the bait. That's so awesome though that you didn't, because it can
Yeah.
turn into a whole.
Well, and it's like, what am I going to come back and say? So it's just
Like,
it's,
what kind?
It's not,
Yeah.
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 What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, so it's just whatever. Just y'all. Okay, I'm leaving. I'm gonna go do this again.
Do you ever get the name dropping? Like, I know this person, this, like a whole list
Oh,
of
yeah.
their connections and X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, it most of the time they pronounce somebody's name wrong, or it's somebody who hasn't worked for the department in like 20 years,
Right.
or like especially like when I first started doing this and when I first came over here, it's like, oh, I know blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh, I don't know who that
You
is.
really
Like,
don't know.
I don't remember my sergeant's name.
Yeah, like I'm lucky if I can remember my chain of command.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
That's funny. Who's the? I guess is there any particular name that's gotten dropped that's just like been outlandish or surprising?
no, I mean I know somebody on the council, or I know the mayor, stuff like that, and it's like, okay, that's cool. Here's your ticket. I don't. It's not really. It doesn't affect anything.
So to take it the other way, can you help us? What is a good way to get out of a ticket besides not speeding?
Well,
Don't say
sure.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Don't speak.
No, and like my
No, you
I mean,
can't
it's
help
just
us.
that's not.
God dang, Letter Jack.
No.
It's so
Let me go
black
with
and
the
white
speed
for me.
limit.
It's
Right,
like
yeah.
if the kickstand comes up,
Right.
like it's just that's
Yeah.
because it takes the favoritism or anything else out of it. It's
Yeah.
like, no, you
Right.
you get a ticket because this is the number or
Yeah.
this is what you did. And so there's no way to say there's any kind of bias or anything. Like everybody always gets.
Yeah.
So,
I used that one time. I used to work a decent amount of step, and I forget the exact nature of the conversation, but I when I tell them that, I was like I only pull people over like if they're going 20 over, and like where I was sitting, and both spots was with 50. I was like, if you're doing highway speed in a 50, like it's fair. If I got that ticket, like that's fair. And I actually noticed I'd never or very rarely had people really lose their minds. But I had a lady, and I explained that to her. I was like, if I get a complaint in the future for some kind of bias or whatever, I was like, they can come back and look at all my stops and say, hey, under this speed is a warning, over this speed is a ticket. And it's like, it doesn't matter what you look like, who you say you pray to, what your economic situation is. It is what it is.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like, it simplifies it, makes it easy.
Yeah.
So, but it's, and it's easy.
Now, on the y'all investigate accidents as well, correct?
Yep.
Now that's all pretty high tech as far as like your math involvement and whatnot. How do you like that?
I kind of look at it like on the big ones, right? Because the parking lot fender benders not the most stimulating, right? But like the big ones are like even ones where you don't really know what happened. That's fun. It's like solving a puzzle.
Yeah.
Because it's like you have a little bit here, and then you kind of look at the cars and okay, so this this is indicative of this, and you just kind of work your way backwards. And
right.
I mean, it's like solving a puzzle.
Yeah.
So it's stimulating, I guess. Like it's interesting.
Are you somebody who's good at math?
No.
No.
No. Like
that's what I want to
like,
know.
no, all my accents are wrong.
No. So like growing up and everything, like I'm good grades in pretty much everything, but math was always struggled with math because it just didn't click.
Yeah.
And then go through all the reconstruction classes to do it, and it's like, oh, this is easy because it's just
Really?
I needed something that was interesting,
Applicable.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, this is fun, it's interesting, it's applicable. Okay, cool, and then easy. Like I took the same math class I think 4 times in college.
Jeez.
Yeah, because it was just it didn't
Man.
make sense.
So even going back childhood wise, like I know you said you didn't have anyone in your family like law enforcement, military, but like those moments, do you see the connections just throughout childhood to now as an officer? Like does it all make sense going back to childhood?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, like looking back, like I said, right and wrong was always kind of a big thing, and that's they kind of raised us, with that and being really strong, and so. Looking back, it makes sense. Like, because it's either right or it's wrong. There's not kind of thing, which also kind of leads me into what doing motors. Like, either it's a ticket or it's not a ticket.
That's true.
Like, so it's very black and white.
Yeah.
So,
do you? I know you made that comment about getting paid to ride a motorcycle. Do you ride one off duty as well?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. So in my first department, I was on motors there. Last year, they got new bikes. So before I left. 4 years ago, I took a picture of my VIN. So it went to the Harley dealership, turned around, I was like, hey, I want to buy this one. This is my VIN. So I bought my first bike.
Wow.
That's cool.
That is.
So
I guess your old department sold it back?
Yeah, so they sell them back to Harley. Harley then takes the red and blue stuff off, the siren and everything, put it on the new bike, and then they'll sell them for whatever they can get for them.
Oh, very cool.
And so it was like,
what kind of bike?
2018 Electra Glide. Really Harley, cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's got that sentimental value. Like I've picked this thing up, dozens if not hundreds of times. So it's special.
That's cool.
So
I always wanted a motorcycle. Like growing up, we had a good family friend of ours is huge into them. I grew up with the little die-cast models on my desks and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Then I became a cop, and I was like, "There's no way." Because the idea of like dying is, I guess this is going to sound really morbid, but the idea of dying doesn't bother me as much. But like, there's so many worse things out there than getting killed on a motorcycle, and some of like the situations people get left in physically, it just intimidates the shit out of me. And I'm like, I can't imagine. How do you deal with that? Or rationalize it, I guess.
It's when you love it, you love it, I guess. So like when I, started and you go through all the motor class and you're constantly falling and picking that 1,000-pound bike up over and over and over. And so it's like, you gain a certain level of confidence on it. And then, like just being super aware of everything.
Yeah.
And that's, obviously something about when we first started, wanting to transition over to that. And it's like, hey, how do you feel about it? And like, it's no different than you knocking on a door at 2 a.m. after boyfriend just beat girlfriend, and now here we are.
Right.
You're going to there. There's on the motor, it's a little. I can control some stuff.
Right.
As opposed to that scenario, like you can be as tactical as you want, but if they know you're coming, they know you're coming.
Right.
At 2 a.m. So it's just cautious and be aware of your surroundings. But I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, it's just you love it.
Right.
I mean, it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to, whenever I was working step a lot, I started kind of thinking, like, well, maybe motors would be something I could try for. And I had that conversation with my wife, and I tried to explain to her, like, statistically speaking, like, patrol's the most dangerous
Absolutely.
spot there is. I mean, I have all the weird situations I found myself in, or the close calls I've had, have been almost exclusively on patrol, doing those types of calls.
Oh, yeah.
Still a pretty short conversation.
Okay.
She did not care at all.
Statistics, oh.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
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 Well, that's like, stopping cars at 2 a.m. Like you don't know what you're walking, you can't see anything, and
Yep.
it's not say that it's a gamble, but there's
Dude, it is.
Yeah.
I try to make people understand that there, and especially young cops who get so, I don't want to, they get so worked up about like being uber safe, and which obviously
Right.
you're going to try to. But man, if I want to shoot someone that's walking up to my car, I've got the first couple 3 rounds at least.
Oh,
Like I'm
absolutely.
going to be
Yeah.
able to get you. And like, you can pick up on certain times, but I think the important thing is just know that if this happens, what your response is.
Right.
And once you kind of have that, you're settled into that, man, the rest of it really is a gamble. I mean, like, even if they do get rounds off, do they hit you? Where do they hit you? Is it going under the vest? Is the vest off?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's so many different things. But that's another aspect of the motorcycle that looking at it seems intimidating, because you don't have some of that cover
Right,
that
yeah.
you do. So it kind of limits your options somewhat.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's okay. It's having an exit plan,
Right.
because it's the safest thing for you to do is to leave,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
and regather. Okay, figure out what we're doing.
Right.
But you have no cover. You're in an awkward position to
Right.
shoot, and then
Very,
if you're moving, like I'm left-handed, so it's easier for me. But if you're actively moving and getting shot at, well, you're on throttle and your gun's over here.
Oh,
So
crap.
it's a weird thing
Right.
to have to process and go through, and it's not something, if you haven't walked through that in your head, okay, if then it's
Right.
it's a big surprise, and you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So
Do you feel like, because one of the things that we kind of fall into as the longer we do this job is a sense of complacency, doing some of the stops.
Yeah.
Obviously, like what we're talking about right now that's more at the forefront of your mind towards the beginning of your career.
Sure.
But for everybody, we kind of relax. But for you, I'd imagine even more, because traffic stops make up a fairly small portion of your average patrol officer's life.
Right.
But for you, it's your bread and butter.
right.
Did you ever find yourself kind of falling into a routine?
Sometimes it just you just get complacent with it, but it's one of those, like, you kind of do it, and then you think back, and like I don't remember my last 3 stops, or like to be able to differentiate them, and I'm like, that's probably not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, it's natural, I guess, to an
Yeah.
extent, and then just, okay, no, I need to really log back in and focus on what I'm doing, and
Right.
and luckily, we work days, so it's we work a lot of school zones, obviously, and so when it's school zone, you can they're driving by, so you get a quick snapshot of who's in the car, what's going on in the car, and so it's a good thing, because you get that picture,
Right.
but then at the same time, it can also make you complacent too, because you're
Right.
like, oh, I know this is just
Soccer mom.
Yeah, soccer mom. This is fine.
Yeah.
And soccer mom was who told me that she hoped my kids get cancer.
Wow.
So
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
you know what I mean. So
Yeah. Sure.
everything's you need to be on all the time, and
Right.
make sure you're taking care of your stuff. But
Soccer moms kind of get a bad rap
Yeah, they do.
yeah,
for being boring.
You know?
Worse things.
That's
I guess.
Like hoping people's kids get cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a question I was about to ask.
I know. I wanted to know. I know we talked about the whole speed thing. Because you said school zone, I'm just so curious. One above, anything above? Is there?
It's a great
just
question.
Anything?
That is a great
I
question.
assume
Because
it's one.
I go with one above because it is a school zone. But is that just?
So I'll say this. So like normally people will like, oh, how do you write tickets? You know, how do you write decent people tickets? Blah blah
Yeah.
blah. And I say, okay, well, you know, if somebody's going in a school zone or somebody's in a 40 or on the freeway, what do you think is an appropriate number that they should be, you know, going? And point like, yep, they deserve a ticket.
Yeah.
And 10 out of 10 times, their number is lower than mine.
Really?
So, yeah. So it's like,
Man.
so I'm like, oh, well, actually, my number is blah blah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like, so you're harder on it than I am.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just, you know,
That's good.
we have the ability to be invisible. And
Right,
so you
yeah.
catch people, you know, doing whatever they're going to do
Yeah.
naturally. And so it's easy. I mean,
Yeah. What's the wildest thing you've caught someone doing during a school, specifically school zone? I don't know, makeup, eating, cooking. I don't know, random.
I mean, I've got the same person on their phone in a school zone within like a couple of weeks. And it's like, she's like, I just got a ticket for this. And I'm like, yes, and you're just about to get another one.
Dude. Dude, I've heard that as an excuse so many times. It's like I had a guy on Pioneer doing 80, and that's
Whoa.
probably, it's
Yeah.
probably 40 maybe
Right.
on Pioneer,
Whoa.
and pulled him over, and I was like, "Fuck!" Well, and I usually keep it pretty
This is
lighthearted,
silly, yeah.
even like unless they're doing something crazy. It's like, hey, you might have just like killed somebody.
Yeah.
I found I can use humor to kind of diffuse that, so I just walked up and like, buddy,
Yeah.
what are we doing? And he's like, oh, you can't give me a ticket. And immediately I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fun. And he's like, he pulls out a ticket. He's like, I just got one.
Right.
I'm like, for what? He's like, speeding. I was like, where? He's like, up off Main Street. And I looked at it, and it was like 80 or 90 on Main Street. And I'm like, you're making a really good case as to why you need another ticket right now.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was like, I mean, I don't know that I'd necessarily walk away from 80, but it's like, a lot of times you have this interaction because I'm not writing a ticket every time. And
Right.
That's the majority of the time I don't write tickets.
Right.
But yeah, it's like you try really hard, you can get one.
Yeah. No, you're working hard to get them, and I'm more than happy to
Man.
facilitate that.
I just got one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, here's another one.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like most cops don't write tickets, and like
No.
that's fine. Like that's why, like talking to other cops, it's like, man, how do you do that? I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm just wired the way that I am. Like it doesn't. It's again part of the business. Like
Yeah.
it's just what we do.
Well, and two, I think your average person doesn't realize just how far outside the norm we see as far as behaviors go. So when they think about getting tickets, they think about excuse me. Sorry, their buddy who told them about getting a ticket for 4 over or whatever, which was probably complete BS anyway.
Sure.
But they don't realize, and I didn't even realize just how far people will go routinely outside of what the normal boundaries should
wild.
be. It's like when we're talking about arresting people for drugs and stuff like that. A lot of people have in their mind, oh, they're arresting people with joints or and when you become a cop, you realize like no, these are like
Yeah.
legitimate drug dealers and like that we're dealing with. And I think that the traffic stuff is kind of a subset within police work that even cops don't realize just how ridiculous people behave.
Yeah.
Because like I said, until I started working STEP, I was like, I didn't do it for the longest time because I thought there's no way I'm going to be able to write tickets.
Right.
But then, especially like for speed, because I was always like, I was like, no, I'm better than writing speeding tickets.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not.
Better than
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's
I
kind
get
of
it.
kind of
Yeah.
how the attitude you had, or as I
Yeah.
had. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm the cool cop. And then I
Yeah.
started working it, and I'm like, all right, people, like,
This is ridiculous. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
It's like you don't have to. I wouldn't even think about. I wouldn't even notice 5 over or 10
Oh, yeah.
over, even 15 over most of the time.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, look, working freeways and like specifically toll roads because the roads are well maintained.
Yes.
And people don't think, oh, okay, yeah, the cops are going to be up there. And so
Right.
working that, I mean, I can't. The number of 110s, 120s
Yeah.
Man.
that I've got, it's and like my best is 133 twice.
Really?
And so that so
Twice,
it's
like the same guy twice?
2 different guys.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it's just one of those like, oh my gosh, like people are moving,
Right.
and that was
Yeah.
a lot of that was during COVID too, and so it's nobody's
Oh.
on the road.
Right.
And so it's like just wide open freeway. So, but it's crazy.
That's actually a good idea.
That is. Everyone's gone.
Yeah,
Let me just go for
It's
it.
a good idea.
It was until you see it look in the river, you're like,
Yeah,
oh
for a
no,
minute.
this is going to be expensive.
Yeah. How much does something like that cost?
Yeah.
Like, say a 130. Like,
Or
do
just-
they have degrees? I'm not meaning to keep you talking about
No,
tickets all the time.
So I think there is, but I think at a certain point, I don't know. Like, because I remember I asked, because I was like real excited, like, oh, this is gonna be a good one, and I was very disappointed with the amount. Right? Like, I don't know what I was truly expecting it to be, but it was
Yeah.
like, oh, that should be a lot more.
Yeah, because like 130, you're not going to survive. No one else is
No,
going to survive.
not
No,
at
no,
all.
no.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, that's all. All right, well, never gonna ask that question again.
Yeah, that's funny.
Man.
What on the personal side of things, what do you do to like relax? I know you said your kids are always wanting to hang out and do
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
What does your personal life look like?
A lot, man, mostly just kids.
Yeah,
That's such a, I don't want to say time suck, but we're
Hobbies,
but it,
kids.
it's
Right.
a labor of love. Like it's constant practices or doing whatever.
What
Hanging out
sports?
with them. We're doing basketball and soccer right now.
Oh, very
with
cool.
each one.
Oh, okay.
So kind of navigating that whole thing.
yeah.
So that's time consuming. My oldest is type 1 diabetic, so that is time consuming in itself.
Right.
Navigating that whole thing and figuring out what he's comfortable doing, what he's not doing. Constantly monitoring what he's got going on.
Yeah. How does that work? Because like their blood sugar.
So he carries a cell phone to school, and then that basically pushes his numbers to the school.
Okay.
And so it's super cool. Like it's super cool that the amount of technology that exists to make our lives easier.
Yeah.
But so it's constantly checking your phone. So it's like, okay, we're good.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, we're good.
He'd be
Okay.
in trouble if he was my kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I turn my ringer off. I'm on do not disturb. And they're like, oh crap.
All these
Yep.
alerts.
Yep.
Alert.
Yeah. So it's, it kind of is what it is. And,
Yeah.
but like I said, we navigate it and
How'd you go about finding that out?
hospital visits. So it's like we went to Cook's one night, and like when he was little, we had a lot of asthma problems. Just had a hard time with that. And so like one night, he wasn't doing well, and we're like, I don't know. Should we go to Cook's? Should we not go to Cook's? And we end up going, and they're like, oh, hey, by the way, this is why he's, acting weird.
Right.
This is why he's out of sorts. His blood sugar was so high because, we don't know any better. But his blood sugar was so high when we got there, he was like hallucinating.
That thought in the back of your head, you're like, oh, my kid's not stupid, right?
I know.
Yeah, we had my oldest, my daughter, she's blind. And so we had kind of that whole, which for us is a little different because we didn't quite have that, hey, we're having this issue and here's what it is. Dude, we had to like convince, we were so young maybe,
Yeah.
but we had to convince people that there was something wrong.
Right.
So, like
Really?
when she was really little, like I had oldest of 7. It's like I'd been around kids, like I know when they're supposed to be looking at you, when they're not.
Right.
And she just wasn't. And they're like, oh, her eyes are still, developing,
Yeah.
doing this.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
I don't think they
Right.
are.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Cooks has been amazing too for us. But
It's advocating
yeah, just
over and over. Yeah.
arguing sometimes.
Man.
Sometimes you just gotta be belligerent. Be like, no, that's how long we had to do. We get basically told, go home, silly kids. And eventually, I was just like, no, like
Right.
you're going to but
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've had great experiences with them. Like, the hospital's been great for us. Like, and they do such a good job of making it taking the stress and because like obviously the situation you're not there because things are good you know what I mean
Right.
so like they do as much as they can to alleviate all that and like make it fun for the kids and
Yeah.
take the stress off the parents of doing the other things where you can just kind of focus on
right.
what needs to get focused and so like we've been blessed as far as that goes like great
good.
care.
Yeah, no, we've spent a decent amount of time at Cooks and Children's Dallas. And both of them have been fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And I tell you what, one way to make this job more stressful is add health issues for a kiddo. Holy crap, man!
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what we were really lucky when we came over here, like going through the insurance stuff, and realizing the insurance here is considerably better than what I had before, and it's like, oh, so that's one less. You know, you're not having to deal with the financial strain that I was
Yeah.
before, and it's like, oh, okay, this is nice. And then
Yeah.
we found out he was type 1 after I moved, and so it's like, oh wow, like I couldn't imagine what it would be, you know, over there. And so it's Grand Prairie's been a blessing in a number of different ways for me. So
yeah, for sure. How was your transition?
So easy.
Yeah.
And especially it was almost kind of weird, like with coming over during COVID. So it's like you can't you can't go and you can't talk to people. You can't do
such
anything.
a weird time.
So weird. And
I
so,
wasn't
like,
even on the street.
Yeah. And so like we're doing the academy thing, and they're like trying to figure out how to finagle the way through that. But it was like, hey, you've been a cop. You're in Texas, like. You know, let's get you through what we need to get you through, and we'll get you back out there. And so, like, coming over, I mean, it was like I had no complaints. I mean, it was extremely easy.
Yeah.
Going back to nights obviously is rough.
Yeah, and you've been on for a while.
Yeah.
Like I'd only done 4 years, and I was still alternating on nights, but that would have been.
Yeah, so like going back to nights was rough, but just so we can come over here and do this, and you know, it's like that was rough, but you know, once you kind of get into the groove and you're okay, you know, if you figure it out, it's not so bad. And but like, I mean, basically all my FTOs, the supervisors and everybody are like, yeah, you just do whatever you're doing. And especially like you're like, oh, this is my background. Oh, like okay, you go do that.
Yeah.
So you know, it's made it very easy, stress free.
Yeah.
As you know, as far as the whole picking up your life and moving somewhere else can be. So, but it was good. I mean, like I said, no complaints.
That's awesome.
Whatsoever.
Did you? I don't know much about Bedford, but were there any of the like differences, policies or like culture that was stood out? I guess.
Yeah, and that was the big thing coming here was culture.
Okay.
And just being in the Metroplex for a while, like you know, obviously you talk to people, you go to classes, you do all the things. And Grand Prairie always had the best reputation of, you know, we're wide open, we do police work, all the things. And so it's like, yeah, if I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna give up my spot. Right. This is where I want to go. And like coming over here, they were like, all right, you know, so you're testing with us. Where else are you going to test? And I'm like, this is it. Like I'm coming here, or I'm not leaving. Right. And so, but yeah, Grand Prairie was just always had the best reputation. And so it's like, yeah, this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. You it worked out great for you as far as getting back on back on motors. Did you know any of that going in, or that was just a, hey, I'm going to jump over and then, you know?
No, like I knew it says some departments are getting rid of motors kind of a thing. So it's like, well, yeah, it's not safe. Liability. Yeah. So, but I know like here we're not getting rid of them. So that played a part in it. But yeah, just, okay, I'm going to come over here and again, talk to the wife. Hey, look, this is what we're going to do. It's going to be probably a few years on nights, probably 6-7 years in patrol until I can move over. Right. Just because, you know, once people go to motors, they don't leave. And that's just, that's across every department. Yeah. I mean, there's just, because it's the best job. Right. And so like nobody leaves it. And so it's like, okay, this is what's going to be. It's going to be, you know, it's going to be rough. Navigating it. And I got really lucky being able to come over, did 2.5 years on nights, did 6 months bid on days, and then a spot opened in motors.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it was very, very lucky.
Was that days bid the first one available to you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Because it was one of those like, you know, coming, and it was refreshing, like coming over and doing nights again. It's like, you know, like, oh, this is, you know, police work again, you know, like kind of a thing. And, you know, like that grind of staying awake and flipping my schedule. And, you know, because I would do where you're more or less awake for 24 hours twice a week. And so it's, you know, you're just, you know, as time goes on, and I'm
never
old.
Do that, dude. It makes me angry. Like,
well, yeah.
I'm just like, I don't want to start my weekend in a terrible mood, or like you can feel it in your body when like you're coming home and everybody starts waking up and they're all excited. Hey, it's Saturday. We're doing it. Yeah, and I can hang on to it for a while, so like just kind of fake it.
Right.
But then like around noon, it's just like, man, it's pain.
Well, I could never sleep. Like, I mean, I would go to bed probably about 9 or so, and then at 1, I'm up.
Really?
Yeah, and so it just,
Man.
and like I'd wake up periodically,
Yeah.
and so it just wasn't.
I was kind of weird. I was like, if I could get to sleep before like 9 or 10, I could probably be good.
Yeah.
But even today, like 9 p.m. hits, it doesn't matter how tired I am. Something happens where I wake up.
Yeah.
Which was great for nights until like 4. But yeah, it's such a weird. I'm finding that it's a weird balance to strike when it's like I look at the job and I'm especially my role. I'm filing cases and I'm dealing with watching the body cam stuff. Like, man, I miss the chases. I miss the being on the street. And I was still young enough to do it. But like I was talking to someone at working an extra job this last weekend. I made a comment about because the nights you guys were working, and I made a comment how I wish we could get out there with them. And they're like, oh, you don't. I'm like, yeah, I do.
I just want to go for a little bit.
Yeah,
Right.
I was like, if we
Yeah.
could have like a patrol light.
Right.
We're like, I go help out every once in a while,
Right.
Yeah.
or like a swing shift or something,
Oh,
where
there
it's
you
like
go.
you don't feel like dying.
Yeah.
That would be ideal.
Well, and that's like doing the motors thing. It's like you're still a cop,
Right.
Like you still feel like I'm doing the things, but it's you're also very specialized. You're targeted. You're doing your thing too. So
Right.
it doesn't. It's like all the fun without some
Right.
of the not
Yeah.
fun.
The 50-year marital arguments over not doing laundry and stuff.
Yeah, and just the civil arguments and all this
Yeah.
stuff. It's like I get to go do cop stuff.
Right.
So like that's
Yeah, that is cool.
yeah.
You have any? Because I didn't realize we're already coming up on our time. But you have any notable stories or anything that jump out to you as far as like? I mean, I like the ones where guys embarrass themselves
Yeah.
because I have so many of those personally.
So back at my previous department, I got like I was talking. I had a really good boss, and he was telling me, he's like, "Hey man, just so you know, an IA thing popped up." And so like they're telling him, hey, hey, he's going to go to IA. We've got this thing to investigate. And he's like, well, what's the deal with it? And they're like, well, we're going to investigate theft, kind of a thing. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And so he's like, well, hold on, what? Let me handle it. Like I'm a sergeant. Let me handle it first. And so what it ended up being is, so we had gas cards. Like the Fuelman gas cards. So basically, you go swipe, you put in your number, and then you get gas, right? At any gas pump. So what was happening was my
Like
Fuelman,
any gas pump in the city?
any city, state, anywhere,
Oh,
anywhere
wow.
it's
Okay,
Fuelman
gotcha.
approved,
Oh, okay.
right? So anywhere you can use that card, right?
Okay.
Which was cool, and so
That is convenient.
yeah, that's great. And so we would just fill up, the patrol squads with that.
Right.
And so they're like, hey, his card is being used at the Fort Worth bus barn. Fort Worth ISD. And he's
Yeah, yeah.
like, what? Like, yeah, it's he's getting diesel there. And he's like, what? And
Yeah.
so the what's more ridiculous about the whole thing is I was living in West Fort Worth at the time.
Oh no!
So I was driving past the Fort Worth bus barn,
Wow.
and I drove a diesel.
Of course you did.
And so it's
Wow.
like, so he's like, no, this is
Yeah.
kind of hard to believe. And so like it's like 2 or 3 days where he's like contacting Fuelman and doing all the things, and they're like, no,
And he might like you and trust you, but in the back of his head,
maybe.
he has
Right.
to. You're
Yeah.
like still like cop thing. We're just like, God damn it, please don't.
I
Like,
know.
you're not that stupid.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like going into the bus barn and
Yeah.
getting diesel. And so so he calls Fuelman, and they're like, yeah, no, those numbers are specific. Only one person can use them. It doesn't, whatever. So he has to like contact the bus barn and like pull camera and, do all the things. And what ended up happening was somebody who was just working for the ISD as a bus driver would go to their pumps, swipe theirs, and I guess they forgot their number. So they put in what they thought was theirs. And just happened to be mine.
yours.
Because they're like, no, there's no duplicate, whatever. So she's putting in her number,
Right.
which is mine. And so this went on for however long it went on.
Wow.
And that's how they're like, oh, no. So, yeah, it's obviously ridiculous.
You see on camera, this is not you.
Dude, thank God for cameras, man.
It is the
Yeah.
silliest thing. Like,
Yeah.
but like, but
see,
he does
you-
drive that way.
Right.
He does drive a diesel.
And the numbers match.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's-
that's a good example of how things can escalate.
Yeah.
Because you'll hear about accusations. People accuse you like, oh, well, that's easy to beat, right? And you're like, you think so.
Yeah.
But then every once in a while,
Yeah, and it's like it's just so outlandish, but it's like, well, we have to do our due diligence and make sure that
because we've all
you
heard
aren't-
the stories of those cops.
Oh,
who
yeah.
have done stuff that you're just like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
well,
absolutely.
like you are the walking bad example.
Yep.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, and that sounds silly, but like, I mean, that's your career.
Yeah,
you
and
would
that's what-
100% get prosecuted.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, and reasonably,
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
not, but it was just like, so it was funny. He's having to deal with this is like a 3-day
Yeah.
situation he has to deal with. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Right,
And it's like,
yeah.
it got figured out.
A crappy 3 days. for
Awesome.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I know.
what a waste of
Yeah.
time. But
Oh, that's
You know.
funny. Well, like we always ask,
Yeah.
do you have any kind of advice or words of wisdom for anybody who's looking at coming over the profession or to this department?
I would say just in the profession itself, be willing to learn, and because you get through and then you kind of hit that like window of like I know what I'm doing, but there's always more to learn. Like when I first started, it's just constantly reading. Because you understand, okay, what my authority is, what my authority isn't, and so that confidence of like you're detained, and this is why you're detained, or just being able to do the job with confidence and not kind of working a call and then having to work it backwards because I don't know if I can do what I did, or
Absolutely.
kind of a thing, or like at what point does this transition from detention to arrest to knowing all the ins and outs of what we do. Because it makes it easier when you have that level of confidence of understanding this is my scope and this is what I can do.
Well, and it reduces the stress.
Oh yeah,
Because like at my last department, there was kind of a habit of just you did things because that was the way you were trained. You did things because that was what you were told you could do. And then somewhere, I started getting more specialized roles, and I started doing what you're saying, really learning it for myself. And like if someone comes up and puts a phone in your face and starts, calling you out, or you can't do this, it doesn't stress me out at all because I know exactly what I can and what I can't do.
right.
And I recognize those limits. I don't get worked up about if I can't exceed them. Like, okay, so you beat me, or I'm not going to be able to search you. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and understanding that the game it's not set up for us to win.
No, and it shouldn't be.
And so like you understand you're going to lose. Like that is part of this.
Yeah.
You live to fight another day. It's not. Nothing is that important. Luckily criminals will continue to criminal.
Yes.
So, you'll have another opportunity.
Yep.
And so it's just understanding those kind of things and, like I said, constantly understanding and keeping fresh what we do and understanding, why things are a certain way and,
Right.
because then once you progress and you start training people,
Yeah.
you get, well, why?
Yeah.
I don't know, because that's the way we've always done it.
Yeah, because Johnson told me 6 years ago.
Exactly.
Not a good answer.
Yeah, and so like being able to confidently say, "Oh, this is why we do this,"
Yeah.
or whatever. It makes you a better cop
sure.
to be able to do your thing and have again just the confidence to, make decisions.
That's great advice. That's awesome. All right. Well, I appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having
Hopefully,
me. I
hopefully
appreciate
it wasn't too painful.
No, not at all.
This is great.
All right, guys. Till next
Appreciate
time.
it. Thanks.